Hey team, thanks for joining us. Today we're going to go over some basic ways to control once you've got to the back position. If you haven't watched how to get to the back, I've got a video on the concepts of how to get to the back. I'll put a link up there. That's right. So make sure you watch that one. And then once you've got the back, then obviously we need to look at controlling it. So we're going to go over, I think it's 4 ways to look to control the back, from the simple hooks in to something a little bit more complicated. And then the last half of the video will be, if you start to lose the back, we'll show you some basic ways to recover the back position. So we'll start just in the standard way that once we get the back, we have our seatbelt grip. Okay, so one over, one under, like a seatbelt, and we have our hooks in. So your hooks, they need to be nice and active. They need to be splayed out, not like this, because they're not hooks, they're ballerina toes. You need to make sure your feet look like hooks and make sure they're active on your partner's thighs. Okay, and make sure that you are completely secure to your partner's back. Okay, so it's no good if this seatbelt grip is all loose, because your partner can start to turn. You need to make sure this elbow is pulled down and this elbow is tucked in, and you're secured chest to back. Okay, so this will be your first position. Now this position enables you to get your points in most jiu-jitsu competitions, right? So they're looking for back secured and hooks in. Okay, so the next position is, if we shuffle around this way a wee bit, a lot of times your partner's going to fall to the side, right? So if we go to the side, okay, I start to look for some slightly different ways to secure. So I generally plant my foot on my partner's hip and sort of stomp my partner's hip into the ground a little bit, and then I lift this leg up as high as I can. So you're always going to make sure that you're ear to ear and back to chest. Okay, so no matter what position, as soon as you loosen off here and your partner can start getting their shoulders to the ground, then they can start to look to turn in and they can start to look to escape. So everything we do is to try to counter that reaction. Right, so we fall to the side, I still stay nice and secure, I stomp on my partner's hip and I lift my head nice and high. So the next one we can do from here to tighten it up even more is we can possibly look for a body triangle. Okay, so this obviously on some people who are a little bit wider, you might not be able to do this, or perhaps you've got slightly shorter limbs, you might not be able to do this either. So this is where, when you come back to stomping on the hip and then lifting the foot as high as you can, then that becomes the alternative to doing the body triangle. If, like Jaden, you've got a nice thin waist, then that can be good and bad. It can be good because it can help you slip out, but it can also be bad for him because I can get the body triangle. When I do this, I pull my leg down, squeeze into the ribs, and if that leg is high, sometimes I try to hook this leg underneath my partner's leg as well to control that. So the last one we're going to do is, if your partner manages to get your top leg off before we go into the recovery, if they manage to get the top leg off, then you can always secure the hip. So I'll show you that and explain that. So we're still ear to shoulder. It doesn't matter which way we fall down. We can still use exactly the same. We can use exactly the same treatment: body triangle, foot stomp on the hip. Okay, but let's say your partner manages to reach down, and not that foot, the top one at the moment, manages to clear this top one. What I'm going to do is, with my bottom leg, I'm going to squeeze this in. Okay, you have to be careful you don't squish other things in there. And you're going to lock your feet together, and you're going to squeeze your knee into your partner's hip. Right, so this is actually locking down your partner's hip, and you're still obviously trying to control. So if Jaden tries to get out of this position, this is actually a very secure position. And obviously when you feel safe enough to get back in to your other positions, then you can look to advance back into your other positions from there, right? This is if your partner clears the top leg, you go straight into this top hip lock position. So now we're going to look to see how we recover when your partner removes the bottom hook. So we're going to go over basically 3 ways to recover back to your back take position. So a lot of times when you fall to the ground, if you're not careful, your partner kicks off the bottom leg, right? And once they step over, okay, and they bring their elbow to the ground, then they're out of the position again. So what we're going to do is, when my partner goes to step over, I step my leg out so they can no longer get their bum over my leg anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this toe to heel pushing motion here, and I'm going to use this leg to open up my partner's hips to come to the other side. So we'll show again on this side, so we don't have to adjust the angles. So my partner kicks the leg out or manages to get the leg, so I lift my leg higher. Okay, I push from my toe to my heel, and I start pulling with this one, and then I start to turn to get back in. So now we have our foot stomp, okay, we have our body triangle, we have our hip control. We can go back to the same controlling positions again. So if your partner manages to get clear of that leg, because you have to try to race them to that position, if they manage to try to get clear, then you end up in very much the same position as our escape from Geishigatami, which I've also done a video on, where we need to tripod up and recover the knee. It's exactly the same situation. So if we go to the ground here, my partner manages to get their bum over. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my toe. I'll show you from 2 sides on this one. So I start driving up, and I come up to this tripod position. I put my knee into my partner's back. I use my outside hook to start pulling, adjust my hips, and reset my position. So we've fallen to the side. My partner steps out. This is where I'm going to come up to my head. I'm going to drive up on both my toes. Open this little gap in the back, slide my knee into the gap, fall to the side, and start coming back to take the back. And then the last one is when your partner tries to roll out of the position that I've just tried to get. So now we need to beat them to the roll. So we've fallen to the side, they start to beat my leg, I come up, I tuck my knee in and start to roll. And they start to go. So from here I need to push, and I need to jump to the other side, and I need to get my knee back in the gap again. So I go here. So those are some basic ways to look to pass, look to control, and then look to recover. So if you like our videos, please like and subscribe. So this is going to be in our Pathway to Blue Belt playlist. Have a look at those. Hit the notifications button. Thanks for watching.